Hello from the Hashknife. I'm Calen. Um, this is Calypso. She was dropped off a few days back. I unfortunately was not here. I know the owner. I trained a horse for her, and she asked for this one to be worked on. She's coming from, oh, good girl. Good girl. Callie, I believe. I'll just call her Calypso for safety's sake. Calypso is from Billings, Montana, and that's where the family's from. Good people. I worked high school, college. I don't even remember. I worked a horse for them. They seem to like it, so they're repeat customers. She's kind of been getting acclimated to the ranch for the last 2 or 3 days. Much like myself, it's a nice day at about, depending on the temperature gauge you're looking at, 32 and 36. But coming from Kentucky, I'm still trying to get used to this weather a little bit. So I'm a little more bundled than I should be, more than less. But she's been doing good here on the ranch. She's by herself. We did release her with a couple of weanlings coming to be yearlings. Good girl. Good. Yeah. She's curious. Up until today, I've never really had any issues with her. It wasn't until I tried to get her in here. It's almost like she knew, but she's been getting acclimated. Today, I'm going to more or less do an assessment of her. It's really just a, hey, this is who I am. How are you? Let's see how she's doing. From what I understand, she's had a little bit of training. I don't know what kind of groundwork. Again, from what I was told or relayed from my father, because he was here when she was dropped off, was that she has been saddled, and I understand mounted and sat on, but not ridden. So that tells me there's a little bit of training there somewhere. I just don't know what the extent of it is. So to give a metaphor for you, this is the equivalent of somebody handing you a firearm, in my opinion. Hi. It could be unloaded or loaded. I'm going to check the chamber and make sure nothing's inside. That's what I'm going to do with this training. It could be, honestly, have some fantastic training and groundwork and fundamentals established, and this is going to be super easy. Or there's going to be some holes, and I'm going to be struggling and working my tail off. My very first training ever, because in 7th or 8th grade, I had to do that. Somebody put a big hole in terms of using ropes inappropriately on a horse, and I had to spend 7 months fixing that. So that's where we're at. Good girl. As I'm talking, I'm just kind of letting her figure herself out in here. She's been in this round pen, but not shut in here with me. So just kind of letting her get acquainted. She's not been aggressive by any means. She's been more curious or anything. Now, the thing to note is, like I said, she has apparently had some form of training, whatever extent that's been. The issue that we might have, and it's potentially a big one that my father and I have discussed, is she injured herself as a filly, apparently, and reared back and conked her head pretty good. The vet, who we know and trust, just said concussion, wasn't concerned about bone fragments or anything of that nature in her noggin or her noodle. The only issue, though, is if you watch her head, if she stands straight at you, her head kind of tilts to the side. You'll watch her stand, and she'll kind of shake her head a little bit. When she starts to move, you really notice she shakes her head. And then when she progresses in her speed, the shaking increases. So that concern right there is something that we are worried about potentially. Equilibrium, ability to hold weight. I'm the lightest one around here, to include my brother or my father. I'm like 180, and then you put my stuff on, I'm probably closer to 190, 195. And then you put tack on. So you got a 60-pound saddle, all that stuff. She's not a super big pony, clearly. I say pony and horse interchangeably. She's not a very big horse. But that all coupled with a potential cognitive or equilibrium thing is something we're really kind of going to be paying a lot of attention to. And we may be a little hypersensitive to that, and for good reason. We've seen, yeah, and I see her right now. Her nose is tilted to the offside. Her poll is centered with her nose to the offside. We've seen in recent years, especially with the NFL, last 10 years, big things on concussion, brain injury, what that does to humans. Imagine doing that to a big 1,200-pound horse. Hi, baby. How are you? Good girl. Good. So, what we're going to do is we're just going to, okay, all right, that's fine. We're about to get work done. Nothing big or super strenuous. We're going to work her, see how she interacts with me, my presence, see how well she accepts me being the dominant member of our two creature herd here. And I say dominant, not domineering or dominating. Just establishing me as number one between the two of us. I'm number one, she's number two. I will treat her with respect at all times. No harm to her, nothing like that. It's just simply I tell you something to do and I expect you to do it. If not, you'll have to work a little harder. That's your repercussion. I'll sack her. I have a cloth, like old school, like Indian blanket, Indian school blanket, or Indian saddle blanket is what I should say. Really thin stuff. Let me grab it real quick. I don't know what extent of training she has had, but this is it. This is just a really thin, like old school saddle blanket. I think that's the words I was trying to say. I'm just gonna sack her with it, beat it against her a little bit, kind of pop her on the sides, just see how and she's actually doing really good right now. Just having it around her. She's not interacting with it at all. She's more worried about Bandito, the cat over there. So that's good. We are concerned about, oh, good girl. See, this is right here. I'm already training her. Good girl. She's chewing, telling me she's all right, which we can talk about chewing later because there's a whole discussion that I had with my father about that. People were saying it's a stress hormone, which I have no doubt it is, but I don't think stress hormones are bad all the time. So yeah, she's doing good with that. I'm not going to throw it at her right now because I don't know. I don't have that intimacy with her to know that. Maybe later on I can throw it at her because then I'll expect her to just stand still. Doing good with this so far. So I might be progressing to a garbage sack or a tarp later. So she's doing pretty good. I'll mess with her feet a little bit, see how her feet are. Speed. I'm not going to really progress on the speed on her going around in the round corral. I want to just nice and easy. A lot of the times people will have their horse and think that you need to put them in a round corral and just run them or get them to go to a trot or something and then stop and okay, we're good. That's not the purpose of a round corral, at least with our fundamental perspectives and philosophy. This is a tool, just like this is a tool and this is a tool. It's just here to help with the exercising portion and promoting the relationship here. It's not supposed to be something where they come in and they're afraid because they're going to be run like crazy. That's not the purpose at all. So instead, we're going to slow her down. I'm going to go with the assumption that somebody has worked with her and said, "Oh, we need to run her in the corral." I don't know if that's a fact or not. I'm just going to go with the assumption. Again, loaded gun analogy. And we're going to slow everything down, take it nice and easy, sack her a little bit, pet her, love on her, teach her it's okay, mess with her feet, and see how she does with this. I've never had her haltered since she's arrived. Oh, good girl. Good girl. Kind of teach her that I'm an okay guy, and see how it goes from there. Mildly eventful. I didn't film it just because I didn't know how long it's going to take. One, battery, and two, honestly, it's on a phone, so downloading it and uploading it to Google's sometimes a pain. So far, I feel like we've got a loaded gun with a blank cartridge, if that makes sense. She's got some things I've noticed. We more or less in the horse world would refer to her as a left-handed horse because she prefers you on her offside. So she's right-handed, where most horses are left-handed, the offside being the right side, not the left side. And this has actually been good. Right here, she's not been letting me touch her head. or anything like that. So this is good. She's really high-headed, does not like you around her head. So yeah, like that right there. Putting a halter on her was a little bit of a struggle. And again, because she's off-sided, she had some issues with me getting on this side to put the halter on. So I put lead rope around her neck, then I put the halter over the top. And when I reached over, which she might do it right here, kind of like this. Okay, that's good. Good. We're making progress already. She was kind of throwing her head around. Again, I haven't sacked her yet. I was kind of hitting it off to the side like this. Just a second here. Oh, good girl. Deep breath. Good girl. I was doing this and she wasn't having a problem with it. Now I'm about to kind of place it against her and see what she does. Let her smell it. Something unfamiliar there. Yeah, good girl. I'm just going to rub her with it first. Just kind of, there we go. It's just a thing. Just kind of put it all over her a little bit. Maybe go over her back and see how she acts here. There we go. Good girl. So, based off this, she's probably been worked with it a little bit. Worked with something like that. I'm just doing kind of soft. Want to smell? Girl. Yeah, she's really trying it out. But just kind of soft slaps. Didn't really notice any equilibrium issues or stumbling. She did stumble and slip and slide, but that's because it is a little messy in here from, it's winter time. Kind of getting some mud going on here. There we go. Just kind of flailing it out. She's doing pretty good. When we're working, I had a mix between the two, and I had said in the intro that she might. Good girl. Oh, and she's pretty relaxed. She's got that one leg cocked. That's pretty good. I said that she might either just take off or. Okay, good girl. That's all right. That's okay. Good girl. Just desensitize her to this a little bit. I said that she might take off and be hard to stop and slow down. That was the case to an extent. I was able to slow her down. At first, she was okay going slow. I thought she was maybe a little lazy, which that's still to be determined. But I think it was just kind of, she knew it was kind of warm up. She's like, okay, I'll play the game. So she did. I started asking her to kind of trot a little bit. She did a pretty good job. No big issues. Then I noticed that she would go a couple turns. The birds pooped on her too, so I'm trying to get rid of that. There we go. Good girl. She'd go a couple turns and then just stop. She thought, oh, I go, around the circle 2-3 times. I'm good to go. No, it's not how it works. I wanted to see how she turned different ways. Again, indication of previous training. She turned toward me and away from me quite easily. She understood my body language when I was trying to explain to her, I want her to go this way, I want her to go that way. Which, I mean, to an extent, that's fantastic. Sometimes that's half the battle with some horses. Good girl. Dropping her head. Easy. Oh, okay. So now we're moving. So when we're moving, that's interesting. Easy, easy. And I'm purposely not letting her stop because I'm curious to see. So she doesn't like when she's easy, baby. Easy. Okay. So we'll stop. We'll slow down because that was getting a little out of hand. Good. Good girl. So something was going on there. Where when she's moving, she has the issue. Good girl. I'm just going to leave it on her for a second. Good. Good. Good girl. The fact that she's letting me pet her on this near side is kind of helpful too, because she was not wanting me near the near side. But she would try and turn into me, stop after a couple turns, look at me like, oh, we're done, right? Not quite. But again, she was responsive to either direction. Good girl. When I was turning her, so it was good. And again, she's not super into me being near her head, which is interesting. I don't know if that has to do with handling, trauma from her little spill as a filly, or something else, but easy. There we go. Good girl. I'm not trying to hurt her, just trying to familiarize her. Say, it's okay, I just need to touch you. Need to touch you where you don't want me to, which for her seems to be, between her ears, up on her head, up her neck. So that's good. So she's actually doing pretty good. A little further than I expected. There's some things that seem to potentially need to be undone. But again, I don't know if that's previous training or just learned behavior or personality types. Now I'm going to try her foot. Let's see how this works. Yep. Good girl. Good. Good. Yeah, she's good with that one. Let's see how we'll just take it easy. I'm not in a rush here. Pick up. Yep. Good girl. Good. And something to be noted. Good. She did again, she prefers me on this side, so her off side versus her near side. And when I was trying to approach her from the near side to pet her neck when she was loose, um she almost got defensive, like quartered a hip towards me. Half couple times, half worried she's about to kind of cow kick me or something. She never did, but she created kind of sometimes you just know there's like that behavior of a horse. You're like, okay, why are you being defensive? And that's kind of what it felt like. Good girl, good girl. Yeah, she felt more defensive than anything with that. And again, circumstances with other horses, circumstances with herself, good handling, whether it be owners or outside trainers or anything like that. You just never know. So, um, good girl. Yeah, she's doing pretty good. Again, this is kind of an assessment phase, just feeling her. She feels a little intense. Just trying to get her again to be familiar and say, "Hey, it's all right, man. It's all good." Leading her around is pretty good. She's pretty, like, fairly responsive. Watch Bandit here. Come on, Bandit. Bandit, you're gonna get yourself hurt. Um, come up here. I'll stop. Good girl. So she's not super responsive right now, probably because she's upset with me. But yeah, she's not gonna run you over when you lead her, which is good. So there's some fundamental things here that I'm finding. There's some fundamental things here I'm finding that she's doing really good and responding really well. She leads great. She respects your space pretty well. Good girl. So a little bit there. So a little pushy. She's not keeping a couple inches, but pretty good start. So that's happy. That makes me happy. Good girl. Chewing. Good start. I am interested to work her with my dad because it's been about 10 years since I really worked a horse like this. So see what his assessment is too while I work and explain it. And of course, me talking into the camera while I do some of this is not a bad gig for her. Hearing me talk and hear that I'm not being upset or excited, that's good. She hears me. Just it's good one-on-one time. Sometimes that's what you need. And see, I'm trying to get on this near side again. She's not really liking it. She would prefer I not, but she's okay with it. God. And honestly, if this is how she always is, we get minor improvement where she's like, I'd rather you not be here, but you know what? I know you want to be here, so it's okay. Goal achieved. When I go to put a rope underneath a horse's tail on purpose, um, and they don't like it, that's okay. I just need them to tolerate it for safety's sake. So that's kind of where we're at. And she's not liking this right here, and I'm not sure why. Is your back hurt? It's interesting. Good girl. Again, near side. So we're gonna need some time on the near side. I'll just kind of move her around a little bit. So far so good. So Calypso, she seems pretty smart. 5-year-old mare seems pretty smart. She's not I'll just toss this to the other side, see what happens. Good girl. Good. That's good. I like that. Means if something happens, something flails about, falls on the other side, you're not going to come screaming over at me. Yeah, and that's the sketchy side. So that was still pretty good. A little surprised, but we were all right. That's good. So, good first time. Yeah. Is that enough for you, Calypso? Enough for round one? Yeah, that was the first shot, so I think we did pretty good. Got a lot of room to improve, but we're already pretty well ahead of others.